for clicking on Wayne.com to watch Inside the Zone with Justin Kenny of the News Sentinel. I'm Glenn Marini, and it is week 5 already of the high school football season. I mean, it is clipping along, and last week some interesting games that were decided by 1 point, including what will be the 2 teams in our game of the week. Luers beating Leo by 1, and Wayne beating the Northside Redskins by 1. Wayne at Luers this week is going to be our game of the week, at least here on Wayne TV. And let's get right into it. What do you see as being the big key in this one? Because it's a 15-0 win by Wayne last year, not the offensive showdown that we've anticipated perhaps this year.
I think it comes down to stopping Keon Powers. Nobody's been able to do it yet for 4 weeks. Anybody who can contain him, keep him in the pocket, that read option's just been deadly with them. And Austin Yarborough's been pretty impressive at running back. And when you do play the read option well, then Keon Powers can throw it over the top and beat you deep. So that's what it comes down to. You have to slow down Keon Powers. He's been unbelievable so far this year.
Wayne's offense averaging just over 50 points a game, one of the top offenses in the state. We didn't know what to expect coming out of their first 2 games because they played teams we're not familiar with, really, in Anderson and Kokomo. But they hung 60 on Concordia and then 35 on a pretty good Northside defense. So heading into this week, you mentioned the Powers twins, but they have more than one player that I think you have to stop on their team, don't you think?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they can spread the ball around a little bit, but it really comes down to that offensive line if they could be able to challenge the Bishop Luers defensive line, which has been really impressive this year so far. So that battle up front for Wayne, where they're going to go against arguably the most athletic defensive line they have so far this year, will be key for them.
Yeah, and Luers really did a nice job. Logan Leiter ran roughshod over them last season, but this past week they held him to 7 carries, 14 yards, so certainly a good job by the Luers defense. And they were opportunistic in getting 3 interceptions, so really good up front, really good in the secondary, which is how you win a football game. For the Luers defense, what's really been the key this season besides the defensive line? Is it just sure tackling? Because I know last year Kyle Lindsey kept saying, we're there, we're just not wrapping up and making tackles.
No doubt, it's the little things for Luers. We watched them last year, and they were just so close so many times. It's just shoring up those little things, like you mentioned, sure tackling, being in the right gaps, being in the right place in zone and stuff like that. It's just, the little things that they've started putting together, especially here in the middle part of the season for Luers, and all of a sudden a team that's right on the cusp like they were last year is winning games. So I think it's the little things that Luers has done to really elevate them.
Yeah. Speaking of the little things, penalties have not been a problem really for Luers for the majority of this season. 15 penalties for 130 yards. Penalties were a huge part of the game against Leo. How do you clean that up during the week? And you can, I imagine, ill afford 15 penalties for 130 yards against a team as talented as Wayne.
Yeah, talking to Coach Lindsey, who coached that game in the box because of some illnesses, he was so frustrated up there because he said we lost our composure in the first half. Took some bad personal foul penalties. We fall down 14-0 early. And he was really frustrated up there, really wanted to go down on the field and really kind of clean things up from down there. But that's the key things. He said, that's the first thing we're going to address this week is really shoring up those things, not having the big penalties, not having the losing your cool kind of penalties that really hurt you. So that's going to be big going into Friday.
If you had to pick a winner for this one, what would you go with? Because it's going to be a tough one.
It's so tough to pick against Keon Powers right now and Wayne right now. I mean, they're putting up a lot of points. And they struggled maybe a little bit in the first half last week. Scott Shaw makes an adjustment offensively last week at halftime, and Northside just couldn't adjust, and they were able to put up points at will. I think that's why Northside went for 2 there late, talking to Coach Hall, and he said, Wayne had our number in the second half, and we did not feel confident we were going to be able to get stops. So that's the big thing for Luers, not just getting a stop here and there, but stringing together stops. That's huge for them.
All right, so it should be. I would take Wayne by a touchdown because of, what you said offensively. I've seen it, and Bishop Luers. There's a lot of dynamic players that they're going to have to stop defensively to get things going in their direction this week.